Hello and welcome to another vlog made by yours truly, Mr. Gracias. Today I'm going to be talking about the 7 things that are hard but not impossible to do with one hand. And emphasis on not impossible because I speak for myself but also for all of the one-handed community when I say that these things can be done but maybe not as good as someone with 2 hands. Because sometimes you just gotta toss in the towel and say you know what, this is not for me, or this could be better if I had 2 hands. Now, I'm not saying that that's the best mindset for everything, but I'm saying you gotta be honest. You gotta know what you can and you can't do, Alright, so to get started with this list, number 1, and actually this number 1 kind of encompasses a lot of things that many people aren't aware of, but holding things and just dealing with things where you need to grip something and with your other hand open it or move it or do something with it, those things are usually very hard. So number 1 is opening anything that's cold or wet. And you might be wondering what I mean by wet or cold, and I mean anything that has any type of condensation or is cold on the inside or is wet because of being in a cooler or something like that. Those things are really annoying to open. Well, because first and foremost, you have to grip it with the inside of your elbow. This is your main gripping area right here. You grip things, whether it's a water bottle like this, I grip it right here if I want to hold it. Anything like this where I want to open it, I usually grip it here or against my body. That is usually the go-to way for me to hold things or open things. Is put it here and open it here like this with my other hand, and then I can drink that. However, if this were a cold beer, then it would be, not only would it be cold against me, but it would also get my shirt wet or whatever I'm wearing wet. And this goes for anything that is usually done with 2 hands. So I mean putting toothpaste on a toothbrush, that is actually way harder than you think. Or if you're trying to get peanut butter out of a jar, you also have to hold it too. So those types of things are not I wouldn't necessarily say hard because I've been living for 22 years now, so I think I know how to cope with it, and I can easily go make myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich right now, which I might do. But I mean hard in the sense that you have to actually think about these things. You have to actually think if the jar is dirty, is it going to get on your clothes? Is it cold? Is it wet? Things that you might not usually think about when you have 2 hands. So that's number 1. Number 2 is something that is pretty close to impossible. It's not impossible. I've done it before and I've tried it, but it's just not practical. Number 2 is cutting your nails, and I don't mean toenails, I mean fingernails. Cutting these nails is just not possible. I could potentially just go and grab these nail files and go like this, but this is very strenuous. This hurts after 10 seconds of trying to push down and trying to cut every single nail. It's not accurate. Requires a lot of strength here, so I just don't do it. Maybe other people do, I don't. Okay, number 3 isn't really something that is hard, but it's very I don't know, something you might not think of, but is very obvious once I say it. Number 3 is having long sleeves. Having long sleeves is tricky because you either have to roll them up, or you can do this thing where you indent it inside and have it shorter, but it's still too long, or you can just cut it off as some other people have recommended or have said, and I, for one, like more step number 2, or option number 2, which is just having it be a little too long, dangling off the edge. That goes for long sleeve sweaters, that goes for long sleeve t-shirts and dress shirts, and especially anything long sleeve when it has to come with suits or anything formal, because those things even look worse / not as formal or professional if you have it folded. Okay, number 4 is a little bit similar to 1 because it requires a 2-hand mechanic of holding, but number 4 is cutting meat. Cutting meat is so hard, and I still haven't really mastered the art yet. So typically, for those of you that are unaware, maybe because you don't cut your own meat, or regardless, you take a fork and you take a knife, use the fork to keep the meat in place, and then you use a knife to cut the portion that you want. Me, I can't do that. I would have to take the knife with this hand and the fork in this one, and the grip is just not here to hold it in. It just does not work. The only times I've seen it work is if the meat is suave enough, soft enough where I can just basically tear it apart without a knife. You could just do it with the side of a fork, or if I get help. There's just no other option. Okay, and number 5 is a little bit different, only because it's not something that's very popular, but number 5 is fighting. Fighting is very hard. I've never been in an actual fight, with anyone I dislike or any type of street brawl, but I have been in play fights, whether it's with siblings, cousins, or friends. I've had it happen to me where they just pin me on pin my arm down and I am helpless. I am completely done. I have no way to really fend myself or even stop that from happening really well. If I ever were in a fight, I would have a major disadvantage. And number 6 goes to a sport we all know and love, or maybe just know of, basketball. Basketball is definitely a two-handed sport. You can definitely play it. I've played it. I played it back in middle school. And if I'm playing it, I have never got really good at being able to compensate for only being on one side. If a defender just marks me on my right, it's game over for me. And the 7th thing that's hard to do with one hand is to have self-confidence, because to have self-confidence, you need to love yourself. And to love yourself means you need to love your self-image. But to love your self-image means you can't compare yourself to everyone around you. But that's hard when your shirts don't fit you the same as everyone else, and you'll notice that lack of symmetry. And you really want that symmetry, but you will never get it. And all you can really focus on is achieving inner symmetry. But it's hard to achieve inner symmetry because you notice the difference. And that's the difference between me and everyone else, is that my differences can't be hidden like everyone else's differences. My differences are worn on my sleeve, or on my short sleeve, and I guess that means I just have to be twice as confident and twice as sure of myself. Otherwise, I'll just let it define me. But it doesn't define me. It's only a piece of me. It's not the whole me. And I guess that's the point, is that it's not the whole me. Right? Alright, I guess that's the end of the video. Catch you guys in the next one, and please like, subscribe, share this if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below. Any questions you might have for me, I'll answer in my next reply video. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you guys in the next one.